Welcome to the Something Unoriginal podcast. I'm your host, John Johnsonson. On today's episode, I'm joined by Logan Cook, founder of Loop Nexus. We will delve into what Loop is, AI, and Maslow's hierarchy of needs. What's up, Cook? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, of course. Logan Cook, you are my friend, and friends we are.
I hope so.
It's just how it goes sometimes, you know. Regardless of, you can't pick your friends, and you can't pick. Can you?
But your friends pick you.
It's starting off great, isn't it? No. Anyway, tell me what's up. What's new with you, man?
I'm doing good. I'm basically just doing school. I'm in my final semester at the U. My major is entrepreneurship, and it's been really cool.
Beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Why did you pick entrepreneurship as a major?
I always liked creating things. Like, ever since I was young, I liked building websites or, creating something and I guess, coming up with an idea in my head and making it happen. I'm also extremely, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm extremely
creative.
I'm trying to think of a disaster in a nicer way. No, I'm kidding. But somebody who kind of wings everything, kind of off the cuff.
You're on the fly.
And I don't think I could fit into a 9 to 5. I think I would drive myself crazy in some strict schedule. I don't think I could do it.
I'm with that. Let's get to the real question on though with that question. All right. How do you feel when you were a kid? I guess this is where I'm going with this. When you were a kid and you wanted to get into entrepreneurship or whatever. I remember when I was a kid, I wanted to be an inventor. Do you feel like there was something that you wanted to make when you were a kid that you're still kind of on the back burner? Like, man, I want to make that still. I want to do that. That would be a good company idea.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to so I remember in high school or junior high, I started a little clothing business.
Okay.
And the idea was terrible. It was honestly terrible.
What made it so bad?
I'd say so the basic idea, it just wasn't a solid enough idea to start a business.
Yeah, for sure.
Basically my main idea was that it'd be clothing with a massive pocket on the shirt.
Put nachos and shit in there. What did you want to do?
It was those little on shirts nowadays, on a t-shirt, they'll have those little pockets that it's just a little pocket square.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll have a flap that buttons down over it.
Yeah, totally.
So my idea was to have just one big one on the shirt. And
pocket.
It was more just a design, something in my head. I'm that would be interesting.
Yeah.
And then I tried to build a clothing line around it, and it just it didn't really
work out.
Yeah, didn't
catch on.
No. I still don't know why. I thought it was a brilliant idea.
I would wear that shirt.
Yeah.
I would wear 5 of that shirt. If it was the same shirt in different colors, I'd wear that shirt.
At once?
I would, yeah, as many as I could get on.
That's some good market research data. Maybe I will go back and do it.
Yeah. I say you hit the ground running with that. Abandon Loop, your current project, and jump on that.
Big pocket shirts.
Yeah, why not?
.com.
I bet you could get a lot of foos getting on there, man. I don't know if you follow Foos Gone Wild on Instagram at all. I
don't think I do.
It's just a bunch of Latinos with Edgar cuts.
Oh,
they're just doing a bunch.
I've heard about the Edgar cut. The thing about the Edgar cut, though, bro, is that's Anuel. That's the Puerto Rican haircut.
Oh, yeah.
Desde siempre.
Yeah.
It's nothing new, man.
We've seen that for years.
Yeah, that's bread and butter.
And now it's just hit the mainstream, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how it happened, but it did. And here we are.
Look at us.
Now we're just making fun of Edgar. I don't know why Edgar got it.
Yeah, Edgar's yeah.
Don't know why he got assigned to it, but it's cool.
Yeah, poor Edgar.
So, big pocket shirts for foos. Let's tell me a little bit about Loop though. What's going on with Loop?
Yeah, so that's
First, I guess first, what gave you the idea? That's probably
you give me the idea.
what gave you the idea.
Oh, what gave me the idea? Um, so there's like several things that kind of inspired it,
Mm-hmm.
but as I said, I've kind of brought up my dad's like always been an entrepreneur and has started multiple businesses and sold them,
Totally.
and it was kind of just the lifestyle I grew up with,
Mm-hmm.
and so I also think kind of my brain works in the way where I'm always looking at how things can be better or how a problem can be solved or simplified. And so I was actually in Brazil in 2020, and I was down in the city called Curitiba.
Okay.
And I noticed that they had their own recycling system in the city. And I thought that was pretty interesting because it was just a city-wide recycling system.
Mm-hmm.
In America, we kind of have like a government sanctioned, like subsidized recycling industry.
Yeah.
Curitiba is a city that is, I guess, it's pretty clean, a little bit more wealthy than other parts of Brazil.
Okay.
And so it was an idea that was able to work in Curitiba, but wouldn't actually work in other areas.
Interesting.
So I thought about, what if recycling didn't look like what it looks like now? What if we kind of applied the gig economy, Uber drivers
Mm-hmm.
who, come and pick up stuff. And, I mean, that thought didn't come to me immediately, right? But when I got home, my mom lives up in Huntsville in Ogden Valley, and she lives off Amazon Prime. So we have just a stack of cardboard boxes at our house.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so many, like, problems and, like, logistical issues with that whole process. And so
Recycling those boxes, that is, right?
yeah.
Okay.
And just even the collection process
Mm-hmm.
is just like fraught with issues, where materials get contaminated because people don't know what materials are accepted.
Yeah.
And so I kind of started from there. A couple other things that influenced it, and I was like, what if we just simplified the process, like didn't have these super high costs with these massive trucks, driving around? What if you had like smaller vehicles but had more in circulation, doing shorter routes, and kind of just explored it from there. And another thing that really impacted it was seeing that there's so many businesses and companies, especially just in the Salt Lake Valley, which is where we're doing our soft launch, that accept materials. So, for example, like O'Reilly will accept old car batteries.
Yeah.
There's businesses that will accept styrofoam, businesses that will like accept paper and turn it into insulation, or
Oh, interesting.
they'll take glass and turn it into sand. And there's all these businesses that are super cool, and they're like creating a product directly from these materials.
Yeah.
But the problem is that in Utah, at least, and honestly throughout the U.S. and most of the world, materials aren't reaching those businesses like straight from the system.
Yeah.
They're getting there from like some other company, sending them. And so I thought about, what if there was a way for people to be in the loop, and that's part of the inspiration behind the name Loop, is people seeing where their waste is going,
Yeah.
and then being able to kind of track their consumption, see what happens, and then see what becomes of it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't know about you right now, or if you even have a recycling service here.
It's not a good one if we do. Like,
Yeah.
we have a recycling bin, but half the stuff that goes in there is actually good recycling, and the other half that should be recycled is just going in our regular trash can.
Yeah.
So.
And it's like it's really difficult because every city and system has like different requirements.
Mm-hmm.
And it's impossible for like just your average person to know like, oh, okay, I can use, because it gets really complicated. There's like 7 kinds of plastic that you can use. Like 3 of them are generally recyclable. The other 4 like require like special recycling. And so say you accidentally throw that in, your neighborhood guy comes and collects it, and then it gets mashed down, right? Because they want to create more space to collect the neighborhood's garbage.
Yeah, totally.
Say you throw the wrong plastic in there, that technically makes that entire batch contaminated, and it will
Really?
then be left at the landfill.
Huh.
Yeah.
So because one little part of whatever batch of recycling came through, whatever dumpster that it was brought into, that whole that whole batch, like you were saying, just thrown out completely.
Yeah.
So you're trying to mitigate that by picking up and sorting it yourselves.
Exactly.
Okay, that's interesting.
And I think, kind of, I'd like to modernize it, and this is in the future, but I'd love to, develop an app where people are able to see and kind of have an information hub where people know what materials are accepted.
Yeah.
And kind of understand the process more, because I think that's one of the biggest issues is just people don't know what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. Dang, that's super interesting. So all of your drivers are gig workers, essentially, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So everybody coming through is essentially like an Uber driver, like you were saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would compare it essentially, and that was kind of the inspiration. When I first was running through the idea, I realized there's some issues with that, right? Because people would have routes. So I would probably compare it more to like an Amazon driver.
Okay, where they've got delivery
where there's a
routes
contract, but they're a gig worker. And so, yeah, I guess a hybrid of the two.
Yeah, for sure.
But
right in between the two. Well, I know Amazon kind of does something similar where you can like go in your own car, pick up some packages to deliver them. Like there have been people that have dropped off like in a Nissan Sentra packages to our house and have been like, "You're not okay. No, it's cool. It's cool." So, dang, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
Dang, man, that's dope. How have you felt like it's been adopted pretty well? Like, do you have a decent clientele so far? Or
So that part's been more difficult. Currently, that's kind of my biggest crux. That's my big is just the customer acquisition,
the adoption.
Right now, like I said, we're kind of in a soft launch, so we're only in the Salt Lake Valley.
Mm-hmm.
We're only accepting households that produce a certain amount of materials, so less than what would fill up an 18-gallon bin, which is what we currently have. And then also, we're only accepting plastics, metals, cardboard, and glass.
Okay.
And other paper products. So that's actually more than most recycling companies. But eventually, I'd really like to get into, hard to recycle materials, stuff like batteries, light bulbs, stuff like that.
Yeah. Tech and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Dang, that's pretty cool, man. So as far as that goes, what does it cost to like normally get somebody to your house to pick up your recycling?
So we're doing it on a subscription plan.
Okay.
Is that your question?
Yeah,
Mike?
yeah.
Pricing, and it's $29.99 a month.
Okay.
So it is a little bit more pricey than typical recycling services.
Mm-hmm.
But how I see it is these recycling companies, you've got these big companies, they're heavily subsidized. So they get, exemptions and credits from the government. And for that reason, they're able to offer services at, $5 for a bin. The problem is that they're offering it and they're completely supported by the government. That business model would not work if they didn't have aid from the government, and arguably it's not working now.
Yeah,
which is
for sure.
why we have like 30 to 40% of our recycling actually getting left at landfills.
That's so crazy to me. I had no idea.
Yeah, and then not a lot of people know that.
On this.
What?
I said you've done a ton of research on this, man.
Yeah,
I love it.
You kind of have to, man.
You're on top of it, man. I love to see it.
But so yeah, I mean, as far as that goes, like, it's an uphill battle.
Yeah. I mean,
I totally just forgot what I was gonna say.
That's the best part, man. You can say whatever you want. It doesn't matter if you forget or if if it's off the top of your brain or not. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, it's good to hear. I'm pretty stoked about it. Like when you started like your Instagram page, and I finally found out what it was that you were doing. I was like, I did have hardly any idea what this is, but I understand that it's he's trying to make an impact. So, and I was pretty stoked about that, man. I was pretty stoked for you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, dude. But more importantly, how are you doing?
Oh,
Specifically, you.
I'm doing good, man. Life is crazy. you know, life's just been wild, but I'm doing good. I've kind of gone through a metamorphosis, you know, a transformation over the last several years, and
Yeah.
Life throws like a lot of wild cards at you, but I'm good. You know, all things considered, I'm good. Happy.
That's good to hear, man. That's really good to hear. So, the two things that I really wanted to ask you about in this podcast, one was that loop thing that we just talked about. Is there anything else you want to elaborate with that on?
Follow us on Instagram.
Shameless plug. Do it. Yeah.
Loop Nexus. LOOPNEXUS.
What's the Nexus part for?
In all honesty, it's because I couldn't get the domain for just Loop. Obviously, I'd have to pay several $100,000 for that domain.
It's understandable.
But the Nexus part of it is, it's not like it just has no meaning. It's that it's like a network or a connection or a bridge, and that's kind of the idea behind Loop. You know, or I guess one of the ideas is to be the middleman for these households and then all these companies who would use these materials to create their product. Most systems currently, you know, they have their own processing facility, so they go around and collect in their trucks and bring it back to their facility. There's not a ton of collaboration between other people.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the Nexus part means, is that we're we're kind of the bridge between those people.
Yeah, you're bridging the gap between the different companies and the different, like, I don't know, means of recycling, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Damn, that's pretty cool. I'm all for that, man. Also, for any other listeners that we got going, we got the fire going again. It's really keeping this place warm. So if you want to tune in to the fire, get the same vibe.
It's beautiful.
It's on Netflix. So, you know, just look up Fireplace.
You know what I was actually thinking about?
Yeah.
Have you ever used like a VR headset, like an Oculus or something?
Yeah, I have.
Have you watched Netflix with one?
No. Is it interesting?
So, yeah, you're at a little log cabin, and I think there's a fireplace, and you're like in a little log cabin theater. It's really cozy, and it's pretty nice.
Dang.
Yeah, dude, Metaverse is just wild, man.
Have you dabbled in the Metaverse at all?
Oh, I dabble.
Do you dabble frequently, or you just dabble here and there?
No, I don't really, but I do believe in it. I mean, I do believe in its potential.
Really?
Not now. Like, I think Mark Zuckerberg has really gone in too early.
Yeah.
Try to be like, oh, this is the future now, and
yeah, for sure.
work with your VR headset on. It's like, okay, bro. No, we're not ready for that shit.
It's a pretty big stretch, man.
Yeah.
Like, trying to get people to, like, go to meetings for work on that. Like, just Zoom's fine. Most people are cool with it.
Yeah.
Or in person. I don't know.
I mean, and the thing is, like, Zoom, in my opinion, like, Zoom's good. Working from homes works, but nothing really replaces the in-person, dynamic, I guess.
No, I feel like you get the whole deal there. Like, you can read body language. That's a huge deal. As well as, like, I feel like it's easier to, like, chime in when you're doing, like, a regular in-person meeting.
Well, and also, like, see the other party as a real person, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Especially, like, even the difference between, like, a phone call and a Zoom meeting, I feel like is super drastic.
Oh, yeah.
So you can just see them, like, see their face when they're saying certain things. I don't know.
It's true, though, man. Like, people are so much more rude on the phone because there's no, like, it's great. Like,
there's a barrier.
Yeah, there's no interaction that you, like, have to look them in the eye and be, like, a total douche.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That really hurt my feelings.
No, I'm not saying you're the... No, it's cool.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm... Well, moving on.
Yeah, no, that was... No, yeah, that first thing was Loop. The other thing that I wanted to bring up, I guess Metaverse. Have you heard of ChatGPT yet?
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
Wild,
man. Have you played around with it at all?
Not much. A little bit.
Really?
Super wild, though.
Yeah, it's nuts. Dude, for anybody who doesn't know what ChatGPT is, it's like this OpenAI is the company. Isn't Elon Musk like one of the...
Yeah, he plays some role in it. I think.
Something?
I think he has ownership in it.
Yeah.
Maybe a majority ownership.
something like that. Yeah, he was kind of an early adopter to this company, OpenAI. But they make this chat AI where you can kind of just ask it to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I asked it a question the other day, and then it gave me like a 10-point list on what to do. Like, it was like how to organize my room better, and it gave me 10 things to consider for it. And then you can kind of elaborate on that, and it'll search the whole internet and give you like good information. So you can be like, elaborate on point 3 for me, and then like go from there. As well as it will like write essays or write like stories for you if you wanted to. I have a friend of mine who asked it to code like
it can
Chrome
code
extension, and it like they copied and pasted all the code into whatever program you need to, and it made the extension perfectly for him. It was great.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Well, and I'm kind of where my mind goes with that is, sorry, was there anything else you wanted?
No, that was it.
It's like the implications of that are crazy because so like we're already seeing automation like replace jobs of people doing, more entry level tasks, so assembly lines are almost completely automated now.
Mm-hmm.
But now, so with ChatGPT, right, it's in very early years and we're already pretty blown away by it. I mean, imagine it in 10, 20 years. The humans are going to become less and less valuable, like especially in the workplace. So for that thing can code. I mean, who would you rather give you, and I'm obviously not right now, but 20 years, who would you rather code an app for you? Like a computer that has limitless knowledge, or, a human who makes mistakes.
Yeah.
It's like, so, it starts, I mean, it makes me think, what is valuable in a human? And I think what my mind goes to is like critical thinking,
problem solving.
Yeah, problem solving, like ability to reason,
Mm-hmm.
because in most fields, how you get expertise is just by having the most knowledge,
Yeah.
even like doctors. So imagine like, automation is obviously progressing insanely quickly too, so who would you rather do like open heart surgery is already like, I don't have a percentage, but like a lot of it is autonomous, done by robots. So it's crazy to think, these jobs are just going to be taken over. I don't know. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Not trying to sound depressing, but
no, it's crazy. 'Cause, I mean, the thing I think is interesting about that, like where those jobs may get taken, is like it kind of just opens other doors for other jobs, right? For humans to kind of do what we're supposed to do, if that makes sense. Because when you put a human on a monotonous task that you don't really like, that they don't really want to be doing, it kind of like ruins, one, their work ethic, and two, their like just their functionality in general in life, I guess. Does that even make sense?
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And so like when you kind of take them out of those monotonous jobs that don't mean anything, now you've got so much more potential to have them do what they flourish in. And I think that's pretty cool, especially because I think the one thing I've noticed is like in a lot of businesses where automation has replaced certain jobs, it's actually made more opportunity for other people.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's that person, like that, maybe not the same person that had that job is getting a new opportunity somewhere else, but at the same time, like it just makes more room for other people in other places. And it just, with YouTube and everything, I feel like we can learn so much without schooling that people are just going to be able to learn on their own and go into positions that they actually truly want to be in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's like the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory thing, where the robot so Charlie's dad in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory puts on the toothpaste caps of the toothpaste in the assembly line. And then a robot comes and replaces him.
Yeah.
And it's like super depressing at first. And then in the end, Charlie's dad becomes the guy to fix the robot, and he has a job.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's, a really interesting thing too, is I feel like most institutions, organizations, and this guy, I guess I'm kind of segueing a little bit here, but they focus on the negative, and we say, we kind of fearmonger.
Mm-hmm.
You know, oh, the world is ending or the world is getting bad for this reason. You know, and in every institution, you know, politically, on the right, it's, you know, the world is getting morally bankrupt,
Yeah.
and, you know, often there's like a strong correlation between the, you know, Republicans or conservatives and religion,
Yeah.
and it's, you know, Christ is going to come again, and the world is just getting worse and worse until he comes and he, you know, cleanses the earth. On the other side of the spectrum, you have people saying, hey, the world's going to end because humans are evil and we're destroying the earth. And I started a recycling business. I'm very passionate about, you know, sustainability, taking care of our environment. But these outlooks don't take into account like humanity and how we're going to adapt and pivot, because we always have. You know, that's what we've always done. And obviously, it doesn't mean you can just be stupid and be like, oh yeah, we'll get it figured out. But you know, all these institutions, it's interesting to me that it's always humanity is getting worse and worse as the years go on, and the good days are behind us. And I just don't believe that at all. Like, if you were to look at history, like, it's just a direct contradiction, because the history of humanity, like, we go back, I mean, we didn't even live comfortable lifestyles. Like, the general population of the world still doesn't.
Yeah.
But, like, in modern countries, it wasn't till, like, you know, 20th century that people started having, not having to, like, provide for their basic needs daily, you know? They didn't have to go out and hunt for their food that night. They didn't have to, like, do that. And obviously that's, like, not true for everywhere, but and there's areas in the world where it's still that way, you know, where they...
Yeah, totally.
And, you know, just terrible things, you know, like these cultures that we like praise, you know, like Rome, you know, awesome empire, right? You know, it did a lot of cool things. There's a weird way to describe them. Awesome empire. But they also did terrible things, you know, like
totally.
Eradicated entire cultures, languages, history, like arts, everything. You know, so like we see more peace now than we used to. People used to constantly be at war. So I don't know. I mean, I just I find it interesting that we focus on the negative of our future when I think we're actually on a good trajectory.
Yeah. No, totally. That makes sense. Because, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like, I always say, I've been saying recently that, like, technology is something that has made us grow faster than we're able to so far. Like, it's probably why we're dealing with, like, a lot of mental health stuff. I don't know if that's true or not, but, like...
Oh, I think that's absolutely true.
It's so hard to adapt to, like, all the changes we're going through. You know what I mean? How do you feel about that?
No, dude, I really resonate with that, actually, because have you read Atomic Habits?
Yeah. I love that book.
He kind of just touches on it briefly, but he basically says, and I mean, it depends on whatever, you know, position you come from. I guess I should say, you know, so I believe in evolution, and I believe that, you know, there are, I guess, evolutionary impacts, like within... Sorry, I'm trying to think of a better way to say that. Like,
no, you're totally good.
We have attributes that are today that are driven by our, like, evolutionary instincts, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Things that we don't really consider that, you know? But I think marriage and you know, courting and stuff. You know, I'm sounding like a freaking boomer. But courtship process. No, but like the process of getting to know someone, I mean, it's driven to reproduce, right? And that's kind of one of our goals. And I don't think if we really want to say, like, why is it that that's so important to us to get married and start our own family? Obviously, there's, like, lots of happiness that comes from it, but I think it's very heavily driven by our, you know, our history and our evolutionary history.
Yeah, totally.
Sorry, that was kind of a long-winded explanation of that, but and it wasn't even what I wanted to say. But in the book, he talks about how those, like, traits we have to kind of work around them, you know? So he does stuff like you assign a room to being your productive room where you work on stuff, or a scent. And it's kind of a way to just trick your psyche to get yourself into the main phase of doing it. And what he explains is that we have basically, and kind of like I was saying earlier, we have only basically lived comfortable lives for the past like 100 years.
Yeah.
And again, that's not all of society. That's just honestly the top 10%.
Yeah, totally.
In the Western world and the rest of the developed world. But the issue is that our like evolution, we are meant to, you know, are you familiar with like Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Uh-huh.
So, oh man, I should probably have pulled that up because I don't know how well I can describe it, but I think probably most people have heard of it.
Yeah,
but,
so just a quick overview of what that is. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I'm going to pull up a picture really quick, but it's essentially like this dude, I don't remember his name,
Abraham Maslow, yeah.
Abraham Maslow came up with this essentially like, pyramid where you kind of have to fulfill the bottom step as you build a pyramid, right? You build the base first and then you move your way up to build all the way till you get to the top. Sorry, I'm pulling up the picture really quick, but it shows essentially like first you need to fulfill certain needs that every human has, right, before you go to the next level, right? First you start with like physiological needs. That's things like your shelter, your food, your water, your air, things that you like, basic needs for us to survive. Then you move into safety needs, whether that's, you know, financial safety or actual safety, like being in a secure place to live, not worried about like crime or anything like that. Then you move into love and belongingness. That's when you look for like friendships and people around you and just like those, relationships for anybody, I guess. And then after that is esteem, where you move into like just your self-image, I guess, how you view yourself, you being comfortable with yourself. And the very last step is like a self-actualization, where it's to be like the best person you could be, the most you are, if that makes sense. So that's kind of wanted to give our viewers or our listeners a little bit of a background as to what that was for people that were unfamiliar with it. So jump back into it. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, that was not, dude, that was an amazing rundown, honestly, just off the top of the head.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, better than I could have ever even dreamed of doing.
Well, it helped that I had a diagram on the screen. So.
You weren't supposed to tell that part.
Oh no, I mean, yeah, no, it was off the top of my head.
No, but I mean, so yeah, with that, I think it's extremely interesting because throughout history, you know, we've got these basic needs, you know, food, shelter, water, these like physiological needs. Mm-hmm. And then as you move up, you know, they get more and more, psychological. And so when, you know, throughout history, when say you're in a tribe or you've got or even, you know, maybe it's 500 years ago and you're like in a small village and you like work in some trade and you provide for your family. But you would fulfill a lot of those higher needs daily just by fulfilling those lower needs, right? So
I see. Yeah.
You're going out and you're providing food for your family. Obviously that's giving you a purpose. That's giving you like something to do with your day and a reason to continue living.
Yeah. Works on your esteem while you're providing for your family.
Yeah.
Works on a relationship, which
exactly
provides security, which continue.
And then there's belonging, right? Because you're playing a role and you have your place and you see that and so it's kind of interesting to see as we've kind of moved into this tech age where now the majority of jobs are sitting in a square cubicle, sitting at a desk, and toiling away until 9 to 5. Yeah. You live extremely comfortable, right? You know, you're in an air-conditioned office. You get free coffee, like, you know, work parties. You know, like on the physical side, yeah, living better than anybody ever has, yet we are struggling greater mentally than ever.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we've created a lifestyle now that we are so comfortable that we're not worrying about our basic needs.
Huh.
And we have to find another way. And I think that's kind of we're at what's the word? Like a
crossroads?
Yeah, crossroads. Is that our word?
I guess. I don't know. Exactly.
Right now, where I feel like humanity, we've got to figure out how to satisfy those needs while still, succeeding in the system we have currently.
Yeah.
And I think it's a complex issue, right? Like,
yeah, for sure. Dang, man. I love these conversations with you, by the way. I just feel like you're a thinker. You know what I mean? So you're always getting on this. Dang, that's super interesting. I never thought about it being something that, like, way back when, 500 to 1,000 years, whatever, primitive man was kind of getting those needs fulfilled, even up to, like, I don't know, 100 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're still up to, like, the industrial age, I guess, of, like, when we started working with steel and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, adopting, like, weird programs
Yeah.
nationwide, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
now we're trying to deal with that. I don't know. It's interesting. Huh.
This is just, like, one question. Have you ever noticed how much more satisfying, like, physical manual labor is than, like, working on your computer?
Yeah.
Because part of it is, like, say you're power washing, like, a driveway. Like, you can see the progress.
Yeah. You're, like, relieved when you're done.
Yeah.
There's, like, some sort of, like, weight that's lifted off you.
Yeah.
You know
and you're like, okay, yeah, I made this difference. And it's like it's a physical, like, reference for you to look at and say, okay, I did a good job.
It's quantifiable.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, like, with Loop, I have a never-ending list of things to do, and it's just like a to-do list, and, like, I've got spreadsheets, and you can kind of show, like, your progress, but you don't get satisfied in that same way. And I think that might be part of might have similar origins and kind of what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, there's no, like, visible, like, you didn't kill an animal to feed your family.
Yeah.
Figure out, like, look at what I provide, look at what I did. You know what I mean? You didn't, I don't know. I can't even think of any other examples.
No, you're good, man. And obviously that's not a science. That's just Logan, like, pondering the universe.
Yeah, right or not, it was still interesting. You know what I mean? Like, right, you can adopt whatever you want to adopt to think. Like, I can get behind what you're saying. Like, it's an interesting perspective, and I'll probably adopt a little bit of that too for me. So it's pretty cool, man.
Well, and you even said, mental health. We're struggling with mental health more and more now. And I think that's, like, a big, like, direct parallel that we're just not satisfying those, like, obvious. I mean, or at least I think there's lots of people that find a way to do that, but it's harder nowadays.
Yeah, totally. Well, and I think that's why a lot of people, like, are trying to find a lot more hobbies to, like, really latch onto, something that gives them, like, progress, something they can get better at. You know what I mean? Because for me, I don't know, I feel pretty stagnant right now, but, like, this podcast is keeping me going. It's like, it's the thing that's making me, I don't know, keep moving forward, like, keeping me sane, I guess. So,
yeah.
That's just interesting. I don't know. Do you feel like that's more, like, with what it is for you with Loop?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny because, like, I feel bad for most people. It's kind of another weird thing, but, like,
you tell.
No, I feel bad for people who kind of subscribe to the idea, like, it's my job to, start working, get a job, work my way up the ladder, and then I'll save up enough money by the time I'm 65 to retire.
Yeah.
And they get to 65 and they can't do the things that they've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so generally it's like, yeah, I'll just get hang out at the dog park with my wife or and I think it's extremely sad existence, honestly. Sorry, like how I tie that into I just said that. I just know, like, obvious, like, correlation to what you're saying. So what I meant by that, though, is, like, okay, wait, say what you said first.
I don't even remember what it was.
Well, we'll just cut that part out.
We'll keep it in. It's cool.
Okay.
It sounded fine.
Okay. Damn it. What was I gonna say though?
Oh, hobbies is what I was talking about. I was talking about how like people pick something up in order to like make them feel fulfilled, and then I had brought up to you like Loop. Do you feel like you're being fulfilled with Loop? And then
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, dude. Man, my ADD is bad.
you're good.
Really bad. But
It's just how it goes sometimes, you know.
so what I where I was going with that was, we pick up these hobbies and we do these things, that make us feel alive. And I lost my train of thought again.
It's one of those like elusive thoughts.
Yeah.
You keep latching onto it and then it slips away.
Goodness sakes.
Hey, it's how it goes sometimes, you know. It's not that big of a deal. We can come back to it if you remember. But no, yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. You latch onto different things that keep you happy. A lot of people, that's video games. For me, it is. But
Yeah.
the thing that I was gonna bring up was that it's interesting that now in the age that we live in with the internet, you can you can do what you want and make money while doing it.
Yeah.
Like you're no longer required to like work a 9 to 5 if you don't want to, because of the fact that all of a sudden you can like turn whatever it is that you actually want to do into a business. If you want to travel, people turn that into a business, man. They get on Instagram and they get, followers and and brands reaching out to them, giving them money for, a spot on their Instagram page or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just kind of interesting that now is a better time than ever to like, quote unquote, retire early and do what you want. 'Cause you can be doing whatever you want right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love that. I remember what I was going to say.
Good.
It was basically just, so you asked me, have you kind of experienced that with Loop? And for the podcast, the podcast is what's kept you going. And
yeah.
I was saying it's funny because like a lot of time I'm just so stressed out of my mind, or like I'm just, putting out fires, and hopefully that will change. But I mean, from what I hear, that's kind of the life of, I guess, running a business, or starting your own thing. And so it's interesting that stress is like a negative feeling for us, but it's also what keeps us alive. And so once you retire and you stop feeling, the feeling of productivity, you just sink into depression, and it's crazy, and it's super sad because that's what I meant with like the people that are, they work their entire lives till they're 65, and they stop working. They're like, they've lived 65 years, 55, doing something every day.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they just stop cold turkey.
Yeah, just no longer productive.
Yeah. Like no wonder they get depressed, and become cranky old people.
Yeah, man. You got nothing to build. You got nothing to work for. All of a sudden, like, I always feel like I hear people when they talk about retiring, they're always like, yeah, I'll retire, but I don't know if I'm going to stop working. Like, I hear that all the time now, and I think it's because people are starting to realize, like, oh, retirement isn't just, like, giving up. You know what I mean? It's not just doing F all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, you're actually, like, going to, do the work that you want to do that's fulfilling to you instead of, like, what's not important. I don't know. I find that interesting.
That is super interesting.
Yeah, man. That's good. That's good.
I'm going to think about that later.
You should. You don't have to, but I hope that you do.
I will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
In other words, what kind of games you playing?
I'm mostly a Pokemon Go guy.
What have you caught recently?
They recalled it.
What have you caught recently?
I was like, yeah, no, I've never played Pokemon Go.
Oh, dude, you got my hopes up.
Oh, really? Oh.
I mean, I dabble.
Okay. I
It's
respect
fun.
that.
I'll play from
I
month
haven't
to
heard
month.
about it in a long time, actually.
I know a couple people that still play.
Really?
Connor, the first guest that was on the podcast, I know he's still really involved with it. He used to live right next door to a Pokestop, so like
Really?
they just pick up his Pokeballs all the time, catch some Pokemans.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like along with video games. So my dad grew up making video games.
Yeah,
And-
isn't that like the first thing he had done?
Yeah,
Like his first business.
Yeah.
Do tell the story on that. If you don't mind. I mean,
no problem.
I've always been interested in that, but I've never asked you because I've always been really scared to get into those details of your life.
Really?
I don't know.
Super sensitive topic, dude.
No, I just don't want to, like, I know you come from a wealthy background, and so I don't want to, like, pretend like I'm your friend for those reasons.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
got you.
Because I'm not. Like, I'm your homie because you're cool, and I love hanging out with you.
Dude, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will not lie. I run into a fair share of I've ran into my fair share of people that are the inverse of that. So yeah. I do appreciate that.
Of course, man.
But yeah, so my dad, he basically sold his video game. He created a video game, in high school, and kept on working on it, and served an LDS mission, and then afterwards came home and started working on another video game, and presented it to a company, and sold it, and eventually became an employee for them. And he did that for I'd say like 20 years until he grew with the company, and then he'd sell it. One company went under, so he actually ended up buying his company back.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, for like pennies on the dollar. So it was kind of a scary time for him.
Yeah.
Then ended up selling his company again, and that last time it was to EA Sports.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Or I guess EA, Electronic Arts, and so my dad created Tiger Woods PGA Tour. That was kind of his game, and they opened up a studio in Salt Lake, and so my dad became president of EA Salt Lake, and did that for like 10 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, where I was going with that was that my dad made video games. There's kind of I had no chance of not loving video games.
That's so sick.
Yeah, I'm not complaining, dude. I love video games.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, they're addicting, man. They're so fun, and
they're getting so much better every day too. Like I've been playing Elden Ring recently.
Okay.
And that game I normally hate hard games because they are just so frustrating.
Yeah.
That I end up just being like, I can't do this anymore, and then I give up. But like that one for some reason is somehow just fulfilling enough that you want to keep playing. And so, I don't know, that's one of them. But then the other one too, I'm not even a Harry Potter fan, but this Hogwarts Legacy game that's coming out, I don't know if you've seen anything.
Yeah,
about that.
It looks dope.
It looks so fun.
Oh, yeah.
Dang. So with your dad though, like, so he sold PGA. Do you remember what the first game that he ever worked on was?
He did like, I remember one of the early, I don't know if this was the first one, but it was like a Vikings game.
Huh.
But like I know like at EA titles so before PGA Tour was a game called Lynx, and he develops that for Sierra.
Okay.
They're not as big anymore, but they used to be kind of the titan of sports. And then that game was kind of a game changer because it like took physics into account when like hitting the ball. So the angle you'd hit the ball would actually like produce a realistic, response to it, totally. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And their games didn't really do that at the time. It was just kind of a, spin the wheel and
hope for the best kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So from there, that's kind of what he did. But they released several other, they worked on Madden 07, and they did like Littlest Pet Shop.
Really?
Yeah. The Nerf game. I don't know if you ever played the Nerf game on the Wii.
I remember the game, but I've never played it, no. Yeah,
so that they developed that. There's tons of others, They're always just involved in tons of different projects. They did The Godfather 2, I believe.
Interesting.
Yeah. But
was this during his time at EA?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man. Dang. So he moved away from video games and jumped into Bivy. And I knew you kind of did some stuff for Bivy. What was it that you did there?
Yeah, so
or I guess explain what Bivy is first.
Yeah. So this kind of goes along with the point I made earlier, is that so he retired after 10 years at EA. Yeah. He was like 40.
That's kind of why I brought it up too. Cause I remember him, quote unquote, retire. You telling me he retired early. Yeah. So
and so he retired, and he kind of found that, and that's part of the reason like why I have some insight into that is because my dad retired for a year, and he was just unbelievably bored afterwards. It's like, how depressing would that be, to just work for years and like, can't wait till the day I don't have to. And then you're like, wait, maybe I would rather just like sit in a cubicle. Like, obviously, it depends on the person, but
yeah, for sure.
He started Bivy, which was initially an app for finding adventures like trails, hikes, waterways across the U.S.
Yeah.
So they developed that app, and I was in high school when they were launching, and so in high school I just did some basic stuff like cartography, like mapping certain trails, and other stuff. But about, I'd say, I think it was on our mission, like when we were on a mission. I guess I should say that Carter and I served together as companions in Ponce, Puerto Rico.
Oh yeah.
But I believe
hottest place of Puerto Rico.
Yeah. But I believe my dad, they launched it while we were on our missions, but it's called the Bivy Stick, and it's a satellite communication device.
That's right. Yeah, because you were telling a bunch of people about it when we were on the mission.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, not a ton of people, but like when it came up.
Bragging. Like, you told everybody you could see.
Yeah, you would not shut up about
it.
I'm
actually like kind of mad at you about that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was the worst. No, I'm just kidding.
I actually hated being your companion for that reason.
Yeah,
you're always talking about the Bivy Stick.
I rolled my eyes and tried to walk away a couple feet just to distance myself. I'm just messing around. No, but I do remember, like, naturally in conversations, you'd be like, oh, yeah, you're looking for stuff to do? Like, check out this thing that my dad made.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it was always natural, and it was never, like, forced, so.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Maybe a couple. No, I'm just kidding.
You're just planting a seed of doubt in my mind, or I'm going to ask you about this later.
Please.
Wait, was I really kind of annoying with that?
No, trust me, not at all, dude. Not even a little bit.
But yeah, so the Bivy Stick's just it's like a device you connect your phone to, and it allows you to text when you don't have service. So you don't have service, you can send messages, you can send an SOS message, you can check the weather, and other stuff like that. And so that's what they've been doing, and they launched Bivy Stick, and eventually they got acquired by ACR Electronics, which is just a massive company out of Florida, and that was about a year ago.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But yeah, that's kind of what's going on there, and I did some marketing part-time, like while I was in school, and then did a little bit of like logistics, and as it was a startup, it was cool because I was able to have a role in many different areas of the business and kind of see every side of it. Yeah,
kind of dabble in a bunch of stuff. Be a jack of all trades, fill in where they need you.
Yeah.
Dang, that's cool. Is your dad doing something new now, or?
So yeah, he's actually now VP of two-way communication at ACR Electronics, and he just has a contract with them. And he's an employee there, but he's a VP, and so they're just continue to grow, launch more products, and then he also owns the lodge in Peru, the Treehouse Lodge, which
in Peru, Iquitos. Right?
Yep, okay. And he started that around the same time he started Bivy, actually a little bit before.
Okay, did he buy Treehouse Lodge, or did he? Was it like started from scratch? He went.
He bought an old lodge.
Okay,
but it was like deteriorating, wasn't doing well, so basically built it up from scratch. But he bought the land and then did it from there.
Okay, I imagine a ton of renovations, a whole lot of stuff that you had to do there.
Well, and so the lodges are like, it's a little bit on the nose, but they're in the trees, and so
no way, I never would have guessed that.
But yeah, so there's a lot of engineering things with that. It was a lot of work, but
totally.
Cool.
So when he acquired it, was the concept there, or did he kind of build out that concept of like the tree house part of it?
No, he completely. I think the lodge before was called like Dolphin Corner or something.
Just dolphins in the river next to it.
Like, well, there actually are dolphins.
Are you serious? I just made that up.
Yeah, no. So there's dolphins in the Amazon, pink river dolphins. Yeah, dude, it's wild.
Hold on. What?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, I guess we gotta go.
Learn something new every day. I would love to.
Yeah.
Megs and I really want to go to Peru soon, so
Let's do it.
she served her mission there as well.
Oh,
so
yeah.
she wants to go back and see it. She was in Cusco though, so she was on like the opposite side of Peru.
And I've actually never been to southern Peru. I really want to go to Cusco, Machu Picchu.
Let's do it. Let's do a big trip. We'll go to the north. We'll go to the south.
I'm down, man. Like,
enjoy it.
I mean, I think you know by now. Like, if there's a trip going on,
Yeah.
you just tell me, and I will most likely show up.
All right. Yeah, I'm in. I've been meaning.
Obviously, if
I
I'm
want to go to what?
Obviously, if I'm invited, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, you're invited. Currently, this
Glad
is
we.
your telling me.
Okay.
I do also want to go like to some Scandinavian countries too, and I know you know a lot about that, so I would love to go with you if you'd want to go.
Bro, yeah. Oh, yeah. Where are you thinking?
Just like Sweden and Finland and stuff. Like,
That'd be dope.
dude, I want to go like midwinter.
Oh, yeah?
Like, cross country skiing and stuff.
That would
Hit
be
some
sick.
saunas.
Oh, yeah. Finnish sauna?
Yeah, dude.
That's nice.
It's pretty good, man. You and I also got to go to that place in Provo.
Yeah.
Plunge.
I'm way down for that.
Yeah. We'll have to plan that out for sure. But, yeah, good stuff, man. I don't know if anybody else knows, or I imagine I've looked at the statistics of our podcast. 99% of the people that listen to it are here in Utah. But, I'll give a shameless plug. They're getting free advertising on this one. Plunge is the freaking coolest. It's like this sauna. It's a Nordic bathhouse. Cook and I were talking about it the other day. I've been a few times. I need to get you there. But it's essentially just like you go into this sauna, chill for 15, 20 minutes or whatever. I guess 10 to 15 minutes. Hop out, bucket shower, and then jump into the ice bath for 2 minutes. And it is so refreshing. Like, it's one of my new favorite things to do, man. It's amazing. Have you ever done anything like that?
No, not like slightly. So
Yeah.
It sounds amazing though. Like I love
That's
like polar plunges and stuff like that. But so in Budapest they have these. That's a random example, but like Budapest they have these big public like spas.
Yeah.
And they're like thermal pools, similar idea, like kind of like Turkish baths, but they're just like massive swimming pools, but they're warm and they're like naturally there.
Oh, interesting.
And similar thing where I guess does Plunge have warm water there, like saunas or?
It's just like a traditional like hot rock sauna where
Oh,
you
really?
put a little water
Okay.
on it, and then you hop into, either 40, like the 40-ish degree plunge or the 50-ish degree plunge.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah.
Yeah. So what they have is they'd have these little pools where you could jump in them, and it'd be like freezing cold water.
Yeah.
And so you'd be like sitting in the sauna, you do it like shock your system for like a minute or whatever, and get out, and it's like you feel like you can run 6 miles.
Yeah, for some reason. It's crazy.
It's really good for you.
Oh, yeah.
And saunas are really good for you as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, they did. I know there's like some lady in Finland that I can't remember what university up there, but they did a bunch of studies on it, and I think Andrew Huberman has a clip on it or something where he talks about it, where like 11 minutes a week or 12 minutes a week or something like that in the cold plunge is like super beneficial to you, to like mental health, physical, like so many different benefits. And then I want to say like 60 minutes or something,
Yeah.
or 90 minutes in the sauna every week is like the spot to be at. If you can get those two things, then your health benefits shoot through the roof.
Oh yeah.
It's great stuff, man.
My parents have a sauna at their house, and I use it every time. And yeah, it's like, if you can sit in for 60 minutes, because what it does is it like releases endorphins. It's
Oh yeah.
it's like the same feeling you get when you finish an exercise.
Yeah, your body starts freaking out.
But you don't have to do anything. You just sit there.
Yeah.
So it's like all reward, no pain.
Yeah. No pain, a lot of gain.
Yeah, I was trying to think of like something, a lot of good stuff, but not.
Many good, not many bad.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff.
I'm kind of like from The Office, Michael Scott, where
Yeah.
whenever he tries to like quote a phrase or like a common saying,
Yeah.
it is always wrong. like every time.
Every single that's
Like,
true.
One of my favorite ones is he's like at dinner, and have you seen this one? Have you watched The Office a lot?
Yeah, I've seen them all.
Okay, so it's the dinner episode, and somebody gave him some wine. He tries it, and he says, "Whoa, that's got kind of an oaky afterbirth." And, oh man, I think he meant to say aftertaste.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a rough image in your head. It's not not great. But I love that. I mean, and where I was going with that is me in the flesh. I can't quote or say phrases correctly.
One thing, dude, Logan, one thing I love about you is I've probably had some of my best, like, most intellectual, like, good, deep conversations with you, but I've also had some of the, like, most awkward, strange conversations with you. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's almost no in between. It's amazing.
Oh, man.
This is why I love being around you, man.
Dude, it just reminded me of, won't mention names, but we had on our mission, we had an elder come live with us that was somewhat problematic. And
oh yeah.
This guy was he's just an a-hole. Like just not a nice person,
Yeah.
Am I okay with this?
Yeah, you can go for it.
And like he was like basically in timeout, and he came to live with us for like a week or two.
Yeah. Maybe even a couple days. I don't even remember.
Oh yeah, might even just been a couple days. But I knew him, and like we were good with him, and I think it was a really beneficial experience for all of us in the end. Mm-hmm. But like we definitely had some fun.
We did. For sure.
Like I don't even remember. Like Carter and I would always just put each other on the spot, and then just see if we could carry it. I think Carter told him that like I had night terrors. And we all slept in the same room.
Yeah.
And so like we'd always do that, or like we'd be talking to someone and be like, yeah, and Carter, he's actually from Washington, and he has a lot of experience in the cannabis industry actually. So and then he'd just have to like
adapt with it.
Yeah, improv from there.
Yeah.
But so with this guy that night, I'm like I don't really like this kid.
Yeah.
So I remember you like telling me like, yeah, like just don't like worry too much about it. He like will scream and get in your face and stuff, but don't do anything really.
Yeah, just
he's
don't
like
react.
don't react or he'll like lose it.
Yeah.
And so and you just have the most serious face, like it's just a
yeah,
one night out with the boys,
yeah,
I guess night in with the boys.
Yeah.
And so this night, like, it's like in the morning, and I wake up, and I'm like, should I do it? I'm like, I really wanted, because I wanted to just terrify him.
Yeah.
And Carter, like, our dynamic is just funny like that, where, like, that's the kind of thing we find funny.
So dry humor.
Yeah.
Such dry humor.
And so I just rage. I'm just like, and I'm like, I like jump on his bed and like grabbing him and like shaking him. I'm like, he's like looking at Carter like, what? He's like, what do I do? Like, he's like actually scared for his life. And Carter's like, just don't do anything,
Just dead face like, no,
yeah.
No.
He does this every night. Like,
no reaction. Just keep doing what you're doing.
And I don't know, like, I think I had to leave because I was laughing. Like, I had to leave the room afterwards. But, like, I just came back in, like, once I, like, regained my composure. And you were just in there just quiet and, like, going back to bed.
Yeah.
He was just sitting on his bed, like, I think, like just
out.
mind racing, just trying to figure out what happened. And I just, like, go back in. I'm like, oh, hey, dude, what's up? And then go back to bed.
So good, dude. Or we'd, like... in the morning when we just like make up weird workouts. Just like, oh, it was so good.
Because he was notorious for. Well, the thing was like, he really liked his body, and he'd always like look at himself in the mirror. But like, for our exercise, like he'd always want us to do it for him. Like we'd like support him and stuff. And what was it? He had me like sit on his feet or something for like curl ups or planks or something, and he's like he's like, you have to do between 28 and 32, or it can be really bad for your abs. So you can't go over or under.
As far as like degrees wise?
Yeah,
like 30, like 28 to 32 degrees.
Or no, or what was it? It was something like that.
Yeah.
Like, or no, I think it was the amount of time he was holding a plank.
Oh, that's right.
It
So
was some position.
The exact correct time.
Yeah, and he's like, it has to be like a minute. Or he's like, it was like, it was a specific number though. It was like 48 seconds, something like that. And I just pretended to forget, and like to like get distracted.
What time is it?
So it's like a minute and 15 seconds goes by, and he's like, what time is it? And he like looks, he's like, what the heck? Look, and starts freaking out. He's like, that could have been really bad. It's been really bad for me. Like,
I forgot about that.
Bro, like, it's not like you're like supporting the world with your spine, man. Like, you're okay.
Oh, no. When he does push-ups, he's pushing the world down. Trust me.
Oh, man.
It was good stuff. Yeah. He was a funny kid. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he I don't know if I would have been. I'm not very good friends with him. Is all I would have to say.
Yeah,
we didn't click well. Is all I gotta say.
I'm not as nice as you. I don't like him. Dude was just mean. Didn't need to be.
Yeah, that's true. He was pretty.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think he learned a lot. We learned a lot. We came to understand him a little bit better.
Yeah, that's true. He's from a different culture, so that may have had something to do with it. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe he was just a douchebag. But
yeah,
however it turned out.
From a douchebag culture.
Yeah, at least a douchebag family, from what I understand, from what he told us. But anyway, yeah. So we're at like an hour. I don't know if you got anything else you want to talk about. We can do this longer. We can cut it off here. What do you think? I'm
good with whatever, man. Do we really talk about video games? I mean, I don't know how much you wanted to talk about them.
No, we're good. That was perfect.
Okay.
That's the beauty of this is we can do it again if we want.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sick.
So it's good to have you on, man. It's great to have you on, especially because next time I want to ask you a couple more questions about random stuff. So
okay.
I had something in mind and I totally forgot what it was.
Oh yeah, no, I had a couple other things I like. Yeah, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go for it.
We can like add this in wherever. But we were kind of talking about like the self-actualization thing, and for me, I've been kind of on this quest to figure out what makes me happy in life, and what life is all about. And I was wondering, like, for you, what would you? I mean, in any area of life. Like, how would you define somebody who is self-actualized, or somebody who is, living life?
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like?
I don't know, because I think that and this is probably a cop-out answer. Maybe not. Maybe it's a good one.
No, you're good.
I feel like it's different for everybody, right? Like, my definition of self-actualization is going to be different than your definition of self-actualization.
Yeah.
So as far as for me, my ideal life is to be in a position financially to where I can kind of just do whatever project I want to do.
Yeah.
Whether that's like woodworking in a garage, or whether that's like, I don't know, my project would being like completing a video game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or even this podcast, for example, like building what it is that is this podcast. Stuff like that. Like, if I can get to a point of like doing what I want and feeling comfortable with who I am, because I've always really, really struggled with like self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
I am one of the least confident people you're ever going to meet. And I don't know if you've ever gotten that impression from me, but I am super like hard on myself, and I have like, I don't know, I'm just very introspective and hard, like, I don't know how to explain it in a way other than like I have no self-esteem.
I'm the same way. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you noticed that, but
I mean, there's a lot of similarities between me and you.
I think that's why we get along,
I think so too, yeah. But for me, it's kind of getting to a point where I can really focus on my self-esteem and focus on like what it is. Like, I guess that's part of esteem, right? That's your next level before that. But once you kind of get to a point where I feel confident with myself and can do the things that I want to do and feel fulfilled in the projects that I'm doing, I feel like that's my self-actualization. But I know for other people, it's probably something completely different. It's probably when they get to a point of like understanding what God means to them, or their relationship spiritually with something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think self-actualization is kind of something you almost never reach fully. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like always a project.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I don't know if that answers your question at all.
No,
What do you
I
think?
wasn't like expecting a specific answer. But yeah, it does like. I think that's very true. That it's just gonna look different for everyone.
Yeah.
And what kind of made me think about that though was, kind of the culture I've grown up with. I was kind of always taught to value somebody who lives life like in the most humble and like leaves the smallest footprint and is the most like in control and disciplined and satisfied with as little as possible.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of truth to that, about being happy, right? Because greed does not bring happiness.
Yeah, not at all.
But kind of as I mentioned earlier, I've kind of gone through this metamorphosis where I'm no longer religious. I'd consider myself agnostic.
Yeah.
And for me, before I used to see life as you have to like tame it and you have to like get in control of your life, get your schedule down, and get married, have my kids, work my 9 to 5,
Yeah.
and serve my church, which are not bad things in any way, right? But I saw that as the apex of what a human should be doing, and when I look in other areas of my life, I'm like, that's not how I define like the peak, right? If that makes sense. And that's kind of been a thought I've been thinking about a lot lately is life is meant to be experienced, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to try everything. That doesn't mean I'm going to go shoot up heroin. Like,
Try it all, everything.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm just
Heroin,
down for whatever,
skydiving, whatever it may be.
Yeah, but I mean I really do think though that like life is about experiencing and finding a balance and finding what's happy for you.
Yeah, totally.
So if I look at somebody who's like, hey, yeah, I lived this lifestyle, I lived this way, and I basically continued living the way my parents did, and I never tried this, never tried that because I hear it's really bad. And I'm not saying like, hey, yeah, you got to go out and like try things, but we all have our own perspective on life, and if you just step outside of that, you'll be shocked to find there are so many different ways to go about life and be happy.
Yeah.
And that's not something you experience unless you really get out of your comfort zone.
Totally.
And question a lot of those assumptions that you have. And so for me, it's like when I look at, okay, who lived life more, who was more self-actualized, I guess. The person who, lived this lifestyle and kind of, cut out their little box and staked their claim, and they, that's kind of a weird way to put it, but, kind of lived a very stable and, in my opinion, like safe lifestyle.
Yeah.
Or somebody who experienced life, experienced the good, the bad, but knows what there is to offer and knows like what life is about. And in my opinion, like it's undisputable that the self-actualized individual is a person who experienced.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know, and that's just something I've been thinking about.
No, that was dope.
Kind of random, but
no, that was good. It was dope.
The self-actualization stuff made me think about that.
Huh. That was dope. No, I like that perspective because it means like it's more of like, I don't know, it's learning more, right? I don't know about you, but like the more that I learn, the more that I learn how much I don't know.
Exactly.
Right? And so I feel like it's almost impossible to like learn everything, but then you become actualized when you learn everything. I don't know if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It's weird. But yeah, I don't know, man.
Well, and it's like, because we don't like to feel like we're the novice or the rookie in anything, right?
Yeah,
so
totally.
When people like look at, so even like with Loop, I'm passionate about sustainability and stuff. I don't know everything about the recycling industry.
Yeah.
And like other people from the industry have kind of like, oh, you're kind of getting over your head, kid. Like what are you doing with your life? And I feel like a lot of people think that same thing about my lifestyle. Where I'm going places and experiencing things. I don't know everything. I'm an idiot, but I don't think it's fair to like judge or criticize people because we're like, oh yeah, they're just like out there just exploring, like just being aimless and
yeah, totally.
Just without control. But it's like, well, you have to experience life before you're gonna be not good at something. You're gonna be like a novice at something before you get good at it or you understand
before you're a pro
it.
or an expert. Yeah.
So.
That's interesting. I think it's a good note to end on, honestly. I don't know if are you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with that. Well, cool, man. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you as a person. And more importantly, I appreciate you for taking the time to come out here and to record this.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you.
I appreciate that you appreciate me. I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry. But,
really, though, I do appreciate you. I think.
Thank you.
You're a great. I think you're perfect for this.
Thank you.
You're just, I mean, I think if we're all being honest, we all struggle with self-esteem.
Yeah.
But you handle yourself extremely well, and I think a lot of people would be shocked to find that.
Yeah.
And because you carry yourself very well and you flow with things really well, and I think that's a great formula for a podcast.
Thank you, man. That means a ton. You have no idea. I'm gonna run with that. I'm gonna keep that rolling then for the future of these podcasts. I'm gonna have to come back to this and listen to that a few more times. But anyway, thank you, man. I appreciate it. We'll call it here. So thanks, everybody.